So over the past several months, I've been trying to initiate a little bit more of an in-depth and personal connection with my audience. I want to be able to connect with them. I want to be able to talk with them. I want to be able to hear what they want to say because I really believe in building the D&D community. And if I believe on building the D&D community, well then I kind of have to interact with it, don't I? And because of that, I've been doing a lot of streams, a lot of Q&As, etc. And people have been able to ask me questions, and I've received one question a few different times. And while I've never given an official answer on it, I did want to talk about it because I think it is, well, interesting to talk about. Why else do I make videos? And that question is, which Dungeon Master do I think is better? Brennan Lee Mulligan or Matthew Mercer? Now, don't get me wrong. I believe these two men are titans amongst Dungeon Masters. I think they're incredible. Their skill, their experience, their expertise, amazing. I think they are some of the best. But the question of which one of them is better is difficult and a weird thing to ask, and it really led me down a conversation I wanted to have. So let's talk about that. So what is this topic that I wanted to talk about? Well, it's very specifically, actually, the conversation over which Dungeon Master is better and why. That's really not a question I can answer. And I'll just go ahead and start off the bat here. Well, it's really difficult to answer because it feels a lot like trying to compare two different artists. Now, I've made that comparison before on my analysis on Abria Iyengar's run on Critical Role. And I talked about the fact that you really can't compare art against art because it's all based subjectively. And I still think that's true, but people made some pretty good points. They said that when you try and go in and look at an artist's repertoire or you look at an art gallery, you do try and find the piece that speaks to you the most. And that's very true. You do try and find the one that you like the most. And it is subjective, but there are really objective things that you can base on it. Brush strokes, their ability to be able to enact the technique that they were going for, etc. I noticed something. When trying to consider which Dungeon Master I considered better, Brennan or Matt, I realized I can't choose. I can rate them on their different skills together, but altogether it becomes something totally different. Let me give an example. If you were to ask me which one I think was better at adding passion and atmosphere at the table and really bringing the players into the game in an exciting way, well, I'd have to say that Brennan takes the cake. Now, do I think Matthew is bad at that? No, not even slightly. I think Matt's amazing at it. Far better than I could be. But it doesn't mean that I don't think Brennan is better than him at it. But on the flip side, if you were to ask about, say, who was better at weaving a compelling and interesting narrative that includes all of the backstories and really creates a fleshed out world, well, I'd have to say Matt takes the cake on that. Again, not to say that Brennan's bad at it, but you can't tell me when you look at their two different games that one isn't better than the other because one has that skill set and the other focuses on something else. And that is the important thing that I want to talk about here. Dungeon Masters are really like artists, and that shouldn't be a surprise, right? I mean, we're storytellers, we're writers. In fact, a large majority of Dungeon Masters are literally writers. And because of that, because we have this art of storytelling, it makes sense that we are all artists, but each artist has their individual ways of wanting to express themselves, the techniques that they care about, and the ways that they do things. Picasso is a wildly different artist to Van Gogh, and nobody can argue that. Van Gogh's brushstrokes and his constant winding ability to be able to create a picture out of constantly moving motion is incredible, while Picasso is very rigid and strict, and he creates strange, amazing art out of very rigid shapes. Neither of them are bad. In fact, they're both considered some of the best, but they're very, very far and few between. If you were to ask me who has better brushstrokes, I'd give it to Van Gogh. That doesn't mean that Picasso is bad, but they have very, very different techniques that they care about.
What's this?
It's an art project.
Okay, I like it. Picasso. Yeah, that way.
And it's the same thing for Dungeon Masters. See, Brennan's amazing. He is an incredible Dungeon Master, and I haven't talked about him a lot on this channel. For those of you who don't know who Brennan is, he's the Dungeon Master for Dimension 20 a lot of the times. And he kills it. I think he's amazing. But he focuses very much on creating high-intensity, emotional moments, and that is what he does. He is a comedic Dungeon Master. Well, more comedic and drama-based Dungeon Master. And that doesn't mean that he is only comedic or only drama, but basically he focuses on creating high-intensity emotions. It doesn't matter what kind of emotions they are, whether they're ones of great laughter, great sorrow, great grief, or great joy. He's just very good at creating those spikes of energy. He knows how to ride the roller coaster, how to build it up and have the intensity rise and then crash down and ride it again until it's time to hit the peak again. He's very good at that and watching his players. That is his skill set, and it makes sense. Dimension 20 is kind of a comedy-based channel, so it makes sense that he would create that drama. Now, you'll notice that I'm saying this, but Matthew is really good at creating drama too, isn't he? In fact, he's amazing at it. However, he doesn't create those highs and lows like Brennan does. Instead, he creates moments that matter for his players. He creates those moments that he knows are going to hit them in the gut specifically. And that's the difference between them. Matt knows how to create this intrigue and this world of realism. Yes, it's fantasy, it's high fantasy, of course, but he knows how to create those real human moments. He knows how to make his NPCs feel real, he knows how to make his PCs feel real, and he knows how to create drama from that. The two are very good at creating drama, but they are good in doing it in totally different ways. Brennan can do so in the form of entertainment or story like a movie. He can create that fluid storyline that builds up and has all that connection and just reaches the peak. Well, Matt kind of embraces a little bit more of the randomness of it all. He embraces the roles and the decisions of his characters and creates a real world that will react to it to create a more real situation. There are so many interviews with Matt where he's talked about the fact that Dungeons & Dragons is an incredible storytelling experience that leads him to things he would never expect. Now, do I think Brennan plans out his stories? Of course not, though it is obvious that his group focuses a lot on creating a little bit more cohesive of a narrative because, well, that's kind of what they base their channel around. It's not wrong of them to do, and I'm not criticizing it. But they do create a little bit more weaved of a narrative and a little bit more planned, and it leads to amazingly high emotional moments, while Critical Role leads to these very real and human moments. Now, I'm talking about these two shows, and please understand that I haven't watched all the content from all of them. I'm sure there'll be people in the comments disagreeing with me saying, hey, but what about this moment of this show or this moment in this part? I haven't even watched all of Campaign 3 in Critical Role yet, much less all of Dimension 20s. So please understand that I don't know all of what they've done. But this is the understanding that I've come to see, and it's honestly aside to the point. The point is, you can't compare Dungeon Masters. You can compare their skills, absolutely. But the unique and beautiful thing about a Dungeon Master is it is all of their skills and the ways that they implement them and what they care about that create a unique experience. And that is never going to change. You can't find two Dungeon Masters creating this. And I've talked about this topic a little bit in the past, but it is very, very true. You have to understand that each one is going to create a unique narrative, so please stop comparing them. It's really not helpful to do. I understand why people do it, and again, I compare myself to Brendan's ability to improv, or I compare myself to Matt's ability to voice act, and I think that's okay, because in comparing, it helps me learn. What do they do differently so I can get up to that point? Please don't compare yourself with the fact of you're not as good as them, because you're not going to be as good as them. They're literally paid to Dungeon Master incredibly professional games, right? But it is okay for comparing for the purpose of criticism and understanding where you can grow. So please do that. But don't compare as a whole. Don't consider which one just must be best. You could probably do that for things like sports, and it makes sense if you can. You can compare LeBron versus Kobe, and there's literal stats that all bring together to complete a full number that you can try and decide who is better. People will still debate, but it's a little bit more concrete. But there's no numbers like that for dungeon mastering. Instead, it's an emotional story. So please don't compare yourself to them. Don't compare yourself and consider them just absolutely unattainable, because that's aside from the point. Learn what you can do, learn what you're good at, and lean into it. And create that amazing story by finding your unique piece. If you can do that, you should be able to run a pretty good game at your table. So go out into the world and make it your own, you beautiful bastards. Don't forget to have a great day, and of course, never forget to play a role. A huge shout out to all those divine bastards over on our Patreon that helped make this video happen. Big D the Cool Guy, BKBW, Diet Blue, Duplicolor, Sassy Productions, Sorit, Supreme Court, Talia Martin, Tenai, Void Mystic, and Volpe Nico. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without our patrons, and we are very thankful for your continued support. You guys are the absolute best, and I will never take your support for granted.